enjoying a visit with my mother and just thought we'd get the life and times of Minerva Compatisa Lager. She's going to be 90 on October the 30th of this year, and a lot of people are interested in her story. We just want to capture that and talk about her childhood and married life and time. So let's start with what do you remember, or what have you heard about your mother and father's upbringing and their names and what you know about their family?
Well, my parents came from Agnone, the province of Campobasso, Italy. My father, Mike, came to the United States in 1911. He was 16 years old. He was born in 1895. He sent for my mother, Kekina Delazzaro. She was 17. She was born in May 1903.
And how did he send for her? Did he know her family, or?
They were put together from friends in Italy that knew about my father being in America, and my mother's mother died when she was 14, and her father remarried, got a new wife and more children. So in them days, when you were 17, they were ready to marry you off. So that's how my father just got together with my mother, just through family.
And he was here, and he wrote her letters? Or how did they communicate?
I don't know how they got together.
Mm-hmm.
But my father was sponsored by his cousin, Francesco Carosella. And my father was drafted in World War I, and he was stationed in Russia. He got his citizenship papers because he served his country.
And what did he do in Russia? What was his job?
Well, he used to tell us that he was in Russia peeling potatoes. We never really believed he was in Russia until we read an article about our United States Army was stationed there. So then we believed him.
And he probably was peeling potatoes then.
Yeah.
But it says here, she filled out this grandparents' book and had a little family tree. And her mother, Italian name, Kekina Delazzaro, when she came to America, they modernized it and renamed her Catherine. But it was Kekina. And it says her mother was Angelina. Is it Caroselli or Carousel? Looks like maybe Caroselli. And her father's name was Giuseppe. And Michael Compatiso, his parents were Francesca Vicarella, I believe, and Pasquale. Pasquale?
Yes.
Compatiso. But it was, you said Gambates, maybe?
It was really Gambates, but when he came here, they couldn't understand the way he was speaking, so they Americanized it to Compatiso.
Okay, so it was Gambates. And you know Grandma had at least one sister.
One sister and then several but I don't know about them.
And your father had how many siblings, you know?
6 brothers and 2 sisters, I
Wow.
think. Came from a big family. He was a shepherd, and he was bored, so he heard about America, and he wanted to come here, and so his father gave him the money to get here. but he was sponsored by a family cousin.
And then Grandma grew up on a farm?
Yeah, she grew up on a little farm, her and her sister. I don't know her sister's name. And she said she had a pony. She said her mother died when she was 14 of pneumonia.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of in the lung system in the family. So her father remarried and had another family. And when she was 17 in them days, they figured that was time for you to get married. So they did. It was a marriage, arranged marriage, because of her family and my father's family in Italy, and they arranged that.
And then when she took a ship to come over.
Yeah, she took a ship. It took her 15 days, and she was down in steerage. She said, a lot of the ladies were seasick, but, that didn't happen to her. But when she arrived in New York, some of the men didn't come forward and claim their wives-to-be, so they sent these ladies right back on the next ship back to Italy.
I mean, how scary for one, being 17, going to another country.
Not knowing the language.
On a ship, you don't know anybody. You don't know if the person sponsoring you is going to be there.
No.
And whether you have to go back. And I can't imagine what she was thinking or feeling.
Well, she had no choice.
Yeah, but I mean, just a strong person.
Yes.
And what was she, about 4 feet 2 inches or 4.5?
About 4'9".
But a lot of spunk in that little lady.
Yes.
I just have the best memories of her. Crocheting all the time and her laugh. I mean, just such a happy person.
Yes, she always was.
So then they, he already settled in Chicago when she arrived? So he was in Chicago.
Yes, he came back to Chicago because he had a job.
Mm-hmm.
And his job, he made over $165 a month. And in them days, that was a good job.
And what was his job?
Well, he worked for a steel mill, and they called him a gandy dancer. He directed all the trains in and out of the mill.
Oh, wow.
But he worked in all kinds of bad weather.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a car. He walked to work and later took the bus. Sometimes he rode his bike.
So Grandma was 17, but he was older, right, when they got married?
26.
26.
He was 8 years older than my mother.
So then they got married
in New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Yes.
So did she come through New York or New Jersey?
Came in through New York, but then I guess New Jersey was real close. So the interpreter got them together and said, you have to marry her now that you sent for her.
Mm.
And you have to buy her warmer clothes too. And so he consented. He never wanted to go back to Italy. This was going to be his country. And so they got married on February 22nd. What year was that? 1921.
21. Wow. So he greeted her off the ship, and then they got married.
Yes.
And then
that was the first time she even met him.
And then they settled in Chicago.
Well, they came back to Chicago because he had a job at the mill, steel mill.
And is that the house you grew up in, or did they live somewhere
No.
first?
They lived in an apartment in South Chicago for a while. Then they came to the east side and found an apartment there on East 99th Street. And then they started having children, and then my father wanted to buy a 2-flat because he said he had, a few children, who's going to rent to him? And he thought buying a 2-flat would help pay the mortgage.
Very smart.
So he moved the family to 10252 Avenue N in Chicago, Illinois. And we lived downstairs, and it was only 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. And we had a couch that opened up, and like 3 of my brothers slept in there. The back bedroom was 3 more brothers. And then my sister and I slept on a rollaway bed in the living room. That it opened up at night, and in the morning you gotta close it up and put the cover on it.
So so how soon after your parents settled in Chicago did the first child arrive?
My brother Al was born in 1922.
So they got married in 21, and then he was born in
Yes,
22?
In September 1922, my brother Al the first one was born.
And that's Alfred or Alfredo?
Alfred.
Alfred. So Alfred was the first son to be born.
And the second son was Joseph. He was born in 1924. And I had the first baby, Louis, was born somewhere in between 1925, but he was in a home fire, and he passed away. He was almost 2. And in the same year, 1928, my mother was pregnant with my sister, Angeline. My brother passed away in March, and my sister Angeline was born in November.
Oh, sad.
So she was pregnant while her baby, her third baby son passed.
So there was Angeline, and then who was next?
My brother Mike was born in 1930.
So Michael. I wonder why they didn't name their first son Michael.
That is a mystery because the Italian family, they usually do.
Yeah, it's usually the first. So,
But no, this is the 4th son, was named Michael. And then the second, after Michael, then my brother Lou was born in 1931. And then my brother Frank was born in 1932. I was born in 1935. And my brother Patrick was born in 1941.
And that was the last one.
And that was the last one, and he was the 9th child.
So were your mom was 32 then when you were
Yes,
born?
my mom was 32 and my father was 40.
And then they had Patrick
Yes.
after that.
When he was like 46.
Oh. And your mom was pushing 40 when she had her last
38.
baby. 38. Wow, she had that many kids.
9 kids by the time she was 38.
Wow. Between, well, say 18 years old and 38.
Yes.
She had all those children. So you were the 8th child and the 2nd daughter.
Yes.
And you were all born at home.
All born at home with a midwife.
Wow. And so they named you Minerva. It says it was the goddess of wisdom,
Yes.
Minerva. But you said you never really cared for that name
No.
growing up.
I didn't like that name. I didn't think that was a nice name for a little girl.
But, so you went by Minnie.
Well, my siblings nicknamed me Minnie.
And so what did your parents, did they call you Minerva or Minnie? Did they? So no one really called you Minerva?
No.
Just maybe school teachers.
Just when I went to school, they called me Minerva.
So you lived in that 2-flat and you kind of all made do with one bathroom. So we have a lot of modern conveniences now. Washing machine and dryers, and you probably didn't have a lot of, we have central air, central heat. You probably didn't have, it was probably a more primitive back when you were growing up. Do you remember, like, did you have probably didn't have a refrigerator, did you?
No, we had an ice box in the kitchen. The ice man would bring in a big block of ice and put it in the ice box. We got a regular refrigerator later when I was older. I remember, and there was no heat in the bedrooms, and we had two wood and coal burning stoves, one in the living room and one in the kitchen. Where in the kitchen, my mother cooked food on that stove, and it heated the kitchen. And I remember when we had to get dressed in a hurry, we would get dressed in the bedroom a little bit and finish dressing up by the stove.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when we got doing laundry. My mother would do laundry every Monday. She'd have to boil water on the stove. And she had 2 laundry tubs, one for washing clothes and one for rinsing. And in the summertime, we would help her hang clothes on the clothesline. But in the wintertime, there was a clothesline in the kitchen where we would hang some clothes there, and in the attic, and in the basement.
Oh, wow.
And that was an all-day thing for my mom.
Yeah, not like nowadays. Laundry is a lot easier.
Yeah, we had no automatic washer and dryer until I was probably about 8 or 9. Yeah, probably about 8. When we had more modern conveniences.
But you did have a telephone. Did you always have a telephone?
We didn't have a telephone until that was probably 1954.
Yeah.
1950 when my sister paid for a telephone.
And do you remember your phone number?
Yes, it's Bayport 18920.
That's amazing that you can still remember that.
Yes.
Now, at one point, you it was a 2-flat, and you lived in the basement, and you had a renter upstairs. Is that how it was?
First floor.
Okay. So you and then at one point, your brother Mike built another bedroom and a bathroom. You took over the whole house then at one point.
And we just rented out the downstairs then.
Okay, so you still had a renter.
Yes, to help pay the mortgage.
So there was a basement, a first floor, and
second floor, and an attic that we were using.
Okay. And then he built that so that you had more room.
Right.
For the big family. It was the 2-flat, and you grew up in the same house your whole childhood.
My whole childhood until I got married when I was 21.
Did you ever have your own bedroom before you got married?
I didn't get into a bedroom until I was 18 when my sister got married. And my mother and my sister slept in a bunk bed in the 3rd bedroom. And when then she got married, then I got the upper bunk. We had to share one little closet.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, what do you remember about your childhood? You said your dad wasn't always warm and fuzzy.
He was,
But he strict, stern, but he provided your
Yes.
family. I mean, he always worked, provided for your family.
yes, he did.
So you respected that.
Yes, we did. He was not very affectionate. I can never remember him giving me a hug or a kiss.
And what happened one time? What did he ask you to do for him one time? And how old were you?
Well, I think,
With the
Oh.
water, the drink.
okay. Well, I was probably about 11, and I was home alone reading a book in the kitchen. Everyone was outside. It was warm weather, and he yelled out to me, Minnie, bring me a drink of water. And I said, get up and get it yourself. And the bedrooms were close together, and I heard his feet hit the floor, and he was coming after me with a broom. And the bed was pushed against the wall, so I crawl under the bed, and he's trying to poke at me to get me. I was so scared. And then he gave up. He went back to bed, and I wouldn't come out until I was sure that he was not after me. But my mother came home soon after that, and I told her what happened, and I was so scared. And she said, Minnie, your father works in all kinds of bad weather to provide for us. The least you could have did was bring him that glass of water. And I said, Mom, I was so scared after that, I shouldn't have said that. I never would again.
No, well, that's true. I mean, he did provide for your family. And do you remember, Christmas? Did you get gifts or what? Did you have a tradition?
Well, at Christmas time, as I remember, we used to, there was a line in the kitchen right across from one wall to the next, where we would sometimes in the winter have to hang up clothes after my mother washed them if the weather was bad. So she had these long cotton stockings which were held up by a garter belt, and we would have a clothespin and hang all of these stockings, and in the morning we would find an orange and an apple and a banana and some nuts and a few pieces of candy. We had no other presents, and I can still remember that when I was like 5. But that didn't continue for many years after that, but that's what I remember far back as I know. We had no gifts.
So a banana was a special treat.
Yes, fruit was a special treat in the winter. And my father, one of the things he always did, he walked to the fish store and he bought this great big long fish called bacala. It was a codfish. It was very salty. He probably should have washed the salt off. And I never did like it.
So that was like
That was his tradition, brought back from the old country.
And you said you had a dollhouse in the attic that you liked to play
Well,
with?
a friend of the family gave me this beautiful wooden dollhouse with all the furniture in it, and I used to play with it in our attic. And I really enjoyed that gift that somebody gave our family.
That was a nice gift.
Actually, when I got married, I don't know, it was still there in the attic, but I don't know who got it after that.
So your sister was older than you, so she probably didn't play with you.
Now, my
much.
sister was 7 years older than I was, so she was kind of by herself, taking care of herself, because she had 3 younger brothers that she had to deal with. So she never really took the time to spend time with me when I was little. And when she was 17 and went to work, I took over her job of washing dishes and mopping the floor. So I was 10.
So you were closest to Patrick. All right, so Patrick.
I was closer to my younger brother, Patrick. I was 5.5 years older than him. And the other siblings were a lot older. So him and I were very close. When he went to grade school, I took him the first day of kindergarten.
What did you?
And I was only 10 and a half.
Oh, wow.
That was my mother. She thought I was old enough to take him. And whenever I went to Calumet Park in the summer, I had to take him with me. Otherwise, I'd have to stay home and help clean house with my mother.
I think I'd rather go to the park with my little brother.
So when I used to walk with my girlfriends and he'd be walking behind me. So I think I bonded more with him because we were the last 2. And I was the one that took him on the bus when he started taking accordion lessons. And I went to his recital, and I had gone with my mother, because my brothers were all in the Korean War area then. Mm-hmm. So my mother and I went on the bus for his recital, and he turned out to be a very good accordionist.
He played until probably the end, right? How old was he when he passed away?
He was 82.
And he played
He played his bands.
Oh, up until that point, he had his accordion.
And he always played if we had doings after the family was older.
Yeah,
at Christmas parties, he always played the accordion, and we would sing along.
And do you remember, I know you're still friends with Frida, what were some of your best girlfriends' names?
Well, Frida grew up 3 houses away from me, and we were the same age. She was only 2 months older than me. And I remember meeting her. My sister Angie met Clara and Frida first, and my sister brought them. We were living downstairs then, and introduced Frida to me. And that's how I met my first best friend. But I was friends with Shirley.
Shirley,
lived across the street from Frida, and Joyce lived right next door to Shirley. So we were like 4 friends living on the same block.
So Shirley, her last name was like Kukinich or something?
Shirley's last name was Kaganich.
Oh, Kaganich. I was close. Kaganich. Kukinich. And so you had Clara and Frida sisters.
Yes.
And what was their last name?
Lambros.
Oh, Lambros. And then Joyce?
Joyce Calbase.
So for those 4.
Yes.
And
4 childhood friends that lived on the same block.
And you're still friends with Frida?
Joyce is still alive too, but Frida is my closest friend that I still keep in touch with.
That's amazing.
For over
80 years?
For over 80 years.
That's great. So you guys like to go ice skating together, right?
Yes,
we
went ice skating at the school. At the Glistel school, they flooded the playground in the winter, and they did have a warming house that you could put your skates on. And it was just during the week, not I think we did go on Saturday. They did have an attendant. And you could skate as long as you wanted and come in and get warm. And they had a ping pong table there too.
Oh, wow.
In this big field house.
Did you play any sports?
I played softball, but we didn't have any teams then.
No, it was just kind of everyone played, like just pick up games of softball.
And sometimes we would play football, just touch football in the street. And when a car was coming, we'd have to yell, "Car!" And in them days, families didn't have two cars. Sometimes families didn't even have one. We always took transportation.
Yeah, I would think it was probably not very common that someone had a car. You didn't really need a car, but it was probably very
Public
expensive.
Transportation was very available.
So you loved reading and music, recess.
Yes.
Playing with your friends. Sounds like you had a good childhood.
I did.
There was a lot of children, and your mother was always the rock of the family.
Yes, she was always home. Whenever I came home from school, she would already have 2 pots of food cooking on the stove. Very nourishing food, mostly Italian. Soups and stew and pasta.
And you said they had chickens, right?
Yes,
chickens?
For a time, my brothers raised chickens and pigeons in the backyard. They built a chicken house and a pigeon coop. And we would have fresh eggs, and usually on Sunday we would have roast chicken.
Wow.
With potatoes in a big roasting pan. And we did have a lot of vegetables because my father raised a small garden where he raised corn and tomatoes and green beans. And then my mother would do a lot of canning.
Oh, so yeah, I remember Grandma always having a garden and grapes growing in the backyard.
Yes.
She liked having that grapevine. So which schools did you go to? What was your grade school?
My grade school's name was Gallistel, and it was from grades kindergarten to 8th grade. And then from 8th grade we went to Bowen High School, which I had to walk 3 blocks to catch the bus because it was in South Chicago. And I graduated in 1954, January of 1954.
And then what did you do after high school?
Well, actually, when I was a senior in high school, we had an advantage of going to Illinois Bell. They were offering jobs from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. So about 5 friends went on the bus and we all got hired. But we always didn't work the same days. And I can remember one night when I was going home on the L by myself, and I was sitting there by myself, and there was plenty of seats open, but this man came and sat next to me with a newspaper on his lap.
Oh, no.
And then all of a sudden he exposed himself, and I saw that, and I smacked the paper out of his hand, and I went to sit by this lady. And that was really a scare in them days.
Oh, yeah.
And my mother said, "No, you're not going to go on that L anymore. You paid to get on the Illinois Central train. Even if it costs you money, it's safer."
Oh, yeah. So how long did you work there, and did you like that
I
job?
worked there for 18 months in teletype, and it was very boring because you sat at a board and waited for calls to come through in order to plug into the board and connect who they wanted to be connected to. You could not talk to either operator on either side of you. So it was really boring for a 19-year-old. So my friend and I, we said, well, we're gonna look for other jobs. So then I got a job at an insurance company where they taught me to type on electric typewriter. That you had to type like long accounts that they had. And that was all right for a while, but my friends got a higher paying job at Illinois Central.
Oh.
So from 19 to 21, when I got married, I stayed there until I got married and had my first child. And I just went back like for 4 months after my son Chuck was born to get my vacation pay from the previous year, and that helped pay for our furniture that we bought all at one time from this furniture company in Chicago Heights.
Now, do you remember any other funny stories growing up? I mean, I can recall a friend, or well, a classmate of yours thought she was really tough, but you
Yes.
thought you were tougher.
Why, there was a classmate, and she was the same height I was. Her name was Marlene, and you know there was a rumor going around that she's so tough, and I had just mentioned it. I didn't think she was so tough. So then she confronted me, and after school one day, we had a little fight, pulling hair and pushing each other and pulling. And luckily, my brother Frank, he was a patrol officer, and he helped the kids cross the streets and other things he had to help look over. And he stopped the fight. And I was glad he did, because she was tough. She was tougher than me. But after that, we became friends.
Yeah, you just needed to get that out of the way.
Yes.
So before your brother Mike added the bedroom and bathroom, your brother Joseph was drafted. Is that correct?
Before that.
So tell us a little bit
Well,
about Joseph.
I was about 7 when my brother Joseph got drafted into the Navy. He chose the Navy then. And he had just graduated from high school. He got a job at the shipyard, and he got his union card, and his job was passing rivets to the welders. That was his job. And he didn't work there too long, and he was drafted into the Navy.
Because of World War
Because of World War II.
II.
And actually, he was in many battles while he was on the ship.
And what was his ship's name?
The ship's name was USS Halsey Powell, and he was a gunner's mate, where he was strapped into this big gun, and they aimed at other airplanes and ships.
Japanese. They were
At the
fighting
Japanese
at that time.
And actually, the war was kind of winding down in 1945, and this Japanese kamikaze plane came and hit him right before he got into his gun.
Mm.
And he got clipped in the leg, and he bled he died shortly after that, but there was only 9 sailors that died that day.
And the war was ended soon after, right?
He died in March 1945, and the war ended in August 1945.
And was he buried at sea then?
He was buried at sea. But the last letter that he wrote to us was on February 9th, 1945, and he died March 20th, 1945. And he always wrote, "Dear Mom," and we all read the letters. Mm-hmm. I got Minnie's female letter today and sure was surprised to see what a nice letter she can write. She is going to pass to 4B. My, she sure is going places.
Oh.
I remember when I left, she could hardly write her name. She writes very nice. Patrick is going to be 4 years old. And, well, he must be getting very big. Does he still cuss?
Oh, God, 4 years old?
Like he used to? I sure got a kick out of him when he got mad. I'm saving up some more money, and it won't be very long before I send it another $300.
Wow.
For you to spend on the family.
That was a lot of money.
Well, Ma, I have to go, so I will sign off for now. Please write soon. Your loving son, Joe.
So, do you remember, were you at school when your parents found out, or were you at home? Do you remember?
It must have been on a Saturday because we were home when these 2 naval officers came to the door to tell us what happened. And when my father heard that, he was just overcome with emotion, and he was crying and beating on the floor. And we were all very sad to hear that what happened to our big brother. He was so good to us, he always worried about his siblings.
And didn't he take special care of Uncle Alfred?
Yes, my first brother, Al, he was only 2.5 pounds when he was born. And he was born very slow. And they didn't have schools.
Right? Because he was born early.
He was born early, and he wasn't everything fully developed. So he was always slow. And my mother tried to get him in a public school and a Catholic school, but they had no place for him then. So my brother Joe always kept him under his arm, so to speak. Al didn't have any friends, but Joe did. And his friends all accepted my brother Al.
How sweet.
They would go swimming in the river, and he really looked after his older brother. And all his friends were very kind to Al, too.
Oh, that's so sweet. So, very hard time. I mean, from what you talk about him, he just seemed like a really good guy.
Yes, he was so concerned about his siblings. And my father thought, when you're 16, you can, his sons could get a job. And my brother said, "Pa, you're not in the old country now. You have to have a high school education." And he said, "I don't want to hear any more about you wanting them to get a job."
That was very responsible. And you said your dad, after that, kind of softened up a bit.
Yes, after my brother Joe died in the war, my father was kinder to us then. He was more loving.
Yes. So, how did you and Dad meet? Do you remember what year you and Dad met?
Well, yeah, I met my future husband right at my house. He was my brother Lou's best friend. They hung out together. And I was about 18 when I started noticing him coming around. And well then, yeah, and he was almost 5 years older than me. And one time, my mother invited him for a spaghetti dinner. She knew he liked spaghetti and meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came home from work, he was seated, when I just came in, he was seated right there, and I thought it was my brother Frank. And I tapped him on the head, and he turned around. I said, "Oh, Chuck." So then, we ate, and I got ready to go to meet my friend that I worked with. It was a Friday, and I had to take 2 buses to get to her house. And then from her house, we had to take another bus to the Baby Doll Club.
The Baby Doll
in
Club.
Chicago on Cottage Grove Avenue. Well, we were there dancing with other guys. They were friendly, just dancing.
Dancing.
And here we see Chuck and Lou come in. So we hung out with them, and Chuck drove us home. But while I was there, I said, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming here? You could have saved me this 2 buses, 3 buses."
Well, I think once he found out you were going to be there, he wanted to go then.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned we were going, or I must have.
Yeah.
Because they wound up there too.
Mm-hmm.
So he took me and my girlfriend home. And we started dating, not just after that. We were at a wedding, and he took me home. And then I was on a mixed bowling team, and my girlfriend Shirley's boyfriend, he was in an apprenticeship program with the telephone company. And he couldn't bowl anymore, so Chuck took his spot. So we were on the same bowling team.
How convenient.
And afterwards, we would go out for beer and pizza. And we started dating after that. And we've dated like a whole year before we got married. But while we were going together, it was just like 4 months, and it was after a wedding. And he said, "I have something for you in the glove compartment." So I opened it, and here there was a ring box.
And that was after 4 months?
Yes. And he said, "Will you marry me?" And I said, "Oh, yes." But I think he asked me so soon afterwards because one of my guy friends that I dated before Chuck, he was in the Army, and when he left, he said, "You always have to save me a date when I get home on leave." So it was while I was dating Chuck that he called, and I said, "You always promised me we'd go on a date."
Aww.
So I said, "Sure." Because I liked him. He was a very nice guy. He was 6'3".
Wow. Oh.
And we went to a show downtown back to Chicago after I worked on a Friday. And no, it was a Saturday. And so Pete came to pick me up, and Chuck was visiting my brother, Lou. So we had a good time, but I told Pete I was dating somebody seriously. But I said, "You're 6'3". A taller girl would love to be with you.
Because you're, what, 5'3"?
Because I was only 5'1".
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So he had to laugh out of that.
So you and Dad had a short courtship, basically.
Yes.
And why did you pick February to get
Well,
married?
Chuck was living with his sister, Ruth, and her 5 kids. And he was tired of moving from place to place. And he said he had this lot in...
All right, so do you remember, did you have any pets while you were growing up? I know you had the pigeons, but they weren't really like pets. But did you have a specific pet while you were growing up?
Well, we had a little puppy that my brother Joe, he was in high school, and one of his friends gave him a border collie, a puppy, named Black. We named him Blackie, and my brother couldn't get on the bus with the dog, so he walked home from South Chicago, which was quite a few miles away. And he died when he was about 14 years old. But I had a picture taken with him when I was like 3. And he was a favorite of the neighborhood. He would sit on the next door neighbor's porch and they would feed him bones. And then he'd walk down to the other neighbor and they'd feed him. So he was a well-loved neighborhood dog because nobody else had one.
So Blackie, I remember hearing stories about Blackie.
Yes, oh, he was just a lovely, loving dog.
All right, yeah. So you still had him then after Uncle Joe passed away.
Yes, Joe had mentioned how it was my dog.
So when he would write home, he wanted to know how Blackie was
Yes.
doing. And 14 years is a long time to have a
Yes.
pet.
Yes, it was. Because we would just feed him food from the table.
Mhm.
No special dog food.
All right, so we'll take a. All right, so we'll get back to. All right, so what day did you get married?
Well, we got married on a Saturday, February 23rd, 1957. And it was a cold day, lots of snow. And it was in a Catholic church on 102nd and Ewing Avenue in Chicago.
And so your dad, did he walk you down the aisle or?
I couldn't trust my father walking me down the aisle, so I asked my brother Mike to walk me down the aisle because my brother Lou was best man for my husband-to-be Chuck. So the wedding started and I noticed my father was in church. He walked to church and he was there, so there was a big effort for him to be there.
So he didn't usually go to church?
No, he never went to church.
So you were raised Catholic?
We were raised more Catholic by my mother.
And you went regularly to church with her? And then your dad just, your wedding, maybe a wedding, he would go to church?
Right.
So, Dad...
Our wedding reception was just like 4 blocks away from where I grew up. It was the Knights of Columbus Hall, and you had to have your own cook, your own chef, cook the food there, and you had to bring your own alcohol there, beer and wine. And we had a band playing.
A band, wow.
Yes. A friend of mine, Lily Ray, her boyfriend played in a band.
And they ended up getting married, right?
Yes. And so we, I guess the wedding ended at 12. And I went home to change. And I thought my husband reserved a room at the hotel. And he didn't. So we arrived there and they said they had no rooms available.
Oh no.
So we had to go back to his sister Jane's house where he was staying.
Yeah.
So they had a bed there for him. So we stayed there that night. And then the next day we went to the house that my husband and my brother Lou, he was a
And you do surveying?
no, not just surveying.
Oh, okay.
No, he was what am I talking about?
Like a builder or electrician, handyman?
No, he was in the union of being a
A carpenter?
carpenter.
So they were building the house together.
Yes. So with my money, I had $1,000 saved, and with Chuck having the lot paid for, that's how our home got started. And we had to hire the electricians and the plumbers and the roofers. No, we put our own roof on there, and in fact, it was Thanksgiving, and I was up on the roof with Chuck, trying to act so brave, and pounding the shingles on the roof when I was 21.
That's impressive.
I was still, I was 21 in October,
So you got married, you were 21.
and he was going to be 26 in
26.
2 weeks.
Yeah, because you got married in February, and then his birthday, March the 6th.
Right.
So Dad, Charles Raymond Lager, was born March the 6th of what year? That would be
1931.
1931. Do you recall, I know you didn't meet his mother, Anna Stromberg Lager, who was married previously. So Dad had 3 half sisters,
Yes.
and their order was it. Who was the oldest girl?
Ruth,
Dorothy,
and Jane.
So they were his half sisters, and then his mother remarried, and then he had his older brother Howard. Do you recall, Dad mentioning his upbringing?
Well, his brother Howard was 3 years older than him. And it wasn't really a happy childhood because his father left the family. He couldn't work. He was a carpenter, but his legs were so shaky that he couldn't work to provide for the family, so he went back to live with his sister in Hegwish. And Chuck's mother had worked in a school mopping floors to make some money for the family. And friends, mostly friends, and some of his family helped out financially. But he must have lived in 11 different apartments before we got married. So he wanted his own place.
And his mother had diabetes really bad, and he had to take care of her, right?
Yes, he was left at home because his 3 sisters got married, and his older brother Howard was in the Army, so he was left at home to take care of his mother. So he couldn't really, play baseball with his friends. She was so very badly sickly. So when he was 20 years old, she did pass away. And then he was drafted right after that.
But he did have to quit high school, right?
He had to quit high school.
And get a job.
Yes, and he did get his GED when he was in the Army.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Oh. So then she passed and went into the Army, came out you guys got married, and then you moved to Glenwood.
Yes.
And that was the house we all grew up in, 19121 Rhodes Avenue in Glenwood. And you didn't know anybody in Glenwood?
I had no friends here. I was the youngest mother on the block, and I didn't drive a car yet. And it was I was kind of feeling isolated because I was used to getting on a bus and transportation was there. And at times, 3 little boys, it was a little overwhelming. And actually, when I learned to drive, I had 3 little boys sitting in the back seat, and Dad let me drive through Glenwood practicing. And in the driveway, he put like certain cans so I could practice parking.
I could see him doing that. So what are the birth orders and dates of your children?
Okay, well, our first son's name was Charles Lewis. His middle name was after my brother, and he was born January 6th, 1958, our first one.
So you got married in February, and the very next January you had a baby.
Yes. And then my second son, Stephen, was born in February 8th.
Patrick after your brother, right? Stephen Patrick.
Stephen Patrick. He was born in February 8th, 1959. And then almost 2 years later, Scott Douglas was born. And then I had a 4-year break, and then I had Karen in October
12th.
12th. Yeah.
1964, Karen Jean.
Yes. I like the name Karen. And Jean was the name of a friend that I bowled with. I like that together.
Karen Jean.
And then 14 months later, her sister, Christine Ann, came along in December 10th.
Yes.
1965. And so we had a
full house.
A full house.
Full house, 3 and 2.
In fact, we had Grandpa living with us for a while.
Grandpa Lager.
And actually, he passed away right after Scott was in kindergarten.
How old were you when your father passed away? Because you were married already and had the 3 boys.
Yes. He passed away in 1963.
63.
Before I had the girls.
And how old was he when he passed?
He was only 68 years old. And my mother was a widow at 60.
Mm-hmm.
And, time goes fast when you're busy. The kids are involved in different sports and activities. And then
we were always softball, baseball, basketball. We did cheerleading for a little bit. We kept you busy.
Yes.
But we always had it was a fun childhood.
Yes.
I have nothing but great memories.
And then Dad enjoyed watching you grow up and knowing that he didn't have that advantage.
Yeah.
Made him very happy to have his kids have advantages.
And we got to grow up in one home. Like, he didn't want to have to move.
No, he did not want to move again.
After moving around a lot as a child, he wanted one home.
Yes.
Which he stayed in until he passed away. on his birthday, March the 6th. That was, 2004. Yeah. But he just turned 72 that day. 73? I thought it was 72. All right, he turned 73 that day. So he lived 72 full years.
Yes.
And you guys, grandchildren came along. First grandson was born in, 1978?
Yes.
Scott Douglas Jr., right?
Yes.
And then Ryan. And we have, Heather?
Ryan Michael. Yeah,
Ryan Michael. Heather Nicole. Jennifer.
Jennifer Ann.
And then who was next? That would have been Bethany, right?
Yes.
Bethany, and I think her middle name is it Bethany Ann.
Think so too.
And then we had, would Andrea be next? Because she was born before Brian. So we have Andrea, Brian Charles. And then we had Evan,
Rachel.
Michael.
Oh, yeah.
And then was Cameron next before Rachel. So Cameron, Trey. And then Miranda. Rachel, and then Sean Christopher was before Rachel, and then we had Mallory in 2000, and then Bryson Joseph, named after that would be his great uncle Joseph.
Yes.
Yes, so Bryson was the last of the grandchildren.
Yes, that was number 14.
And then, okay, so 14 grandchildren, and then 8 great-grandchildren. So we have Vincent, and we have Gianna, then Audrey, Connor, Sophia, Mila, Mason, and Ava.
Yes.
And then Bethany is expecting a girl in June. So another great granddaughter on the way.
Yeah, more to come.
More to be continued.
Yes.
So you've had a wonderful life.
Yes, I thank God that I did have the life I did.
And
I feel very blessed.
You couldn't have picked a better husband and father for your children.
He was really a great husband and father.
I mean, I only remember happy times. You guys never argued, bickered, fought in front of us. Both of you is very calm.
Easygoing.
I mean, it was just a perfect match.
Yes, it did turn out that way.
And you were married how many years before he passed?
We were married 47 years.
47 years.
47 good years.
Yes, good years. And we had a lot of good times together, and we, you got to go on vacations with us. We had Florida a couple times, and we went to Hawaii together. California, you got to see Brian graduate from his Marine boot camp. That was a good time. And especially our trip to Colorado 2 years ago. That was amazing.
Yes, for the very first family reunion that everybody made it.
And a lot of us stayed in the same house and just got to spend a lot of time together. And I just remember our last night there, you said you wanted to go to the country bar. And
yes,
you said I could go until midnight. And several of us, girls' night only, and we went to a country bar. They had a great band.
Yes.
And line dancing, and That it was just a perfect way to top off that.
Yes,
that
it
trip.
was. Good memory.
Yeah, great memories, and your last flying trip that you want to go on to Las Vegas last April,
Right.
and you got to see Scott and Claire's home in Las Vegas and spend time with Bryson. So that was a nice last trip for you to be on.
Yes, that was a plus vacation for me.
So we're looking forward to celebrating Mom's 90th birthday this year, October 30th. And I think we're going to have a nice party. Immediate family. Not her 80th birthday party. We did a really big celebration
Right.
with neighbors, friends, other family members. But I think we'll downscale it a little bit. But
That's fine.
still
But I did lose a lot of friends and family in my lifetime, so I wanted a smaller party.
So her story continues. Looking forward to more fun times and making more memories.
In her 90th year.
I thank you for being a great mother.
And thankful to have 5 loving children.
So that was the life and times of Minerva Competiso Lager. And here's to many more. 90 years of love. From the heart of Chicago, where the cold wind blows, a young girl grew strong with a heart that glows. She learned to love deeply, to laugh and to care, and wherever she went, her kindness was there. She met a man named Chuck, and they built a life through all of the seasons, a husband and wife. 5 children grew under her gentle hand, with a mother's love only they could understand. O mother, 90 years of grace, every wrinkle tells a story on your face. You've given so much, asked for so little in return, and from your love the brightest hearts still burn. 14 grandchildren with laughter and cheer, and 9 little greats who hold you near. Your puzzle pieces fit perfectly true, just like the family that was shaped by you. Through joy and sorrow, through loss and gain, you've held us steady through the wind and the rain. Your love is the light we all rise above, a legacy written in laughter and love. So here's to the lady we all adore, for 90 years and many more. From your family's hearts, near and far, you're our home, our heart, our shining star. Happy 90th birthday, Mother. We all love you.